Hey, this is DJ.
This is Kaz.
We're buried above ground, and this is Speak of the Devil podcast.
Greetings from Podcastville. The Speak of the Devil podcast, episode 35, is brought to you today on January 19th, 2020. So let's get into some music news. I think the first is probably the most sad of the news is that Neil Peart of Rush, the drummer, has passed away. I think it was about a week and a half ago. But just getting to report the news now here on this episode. There's a really good documentary. I mean, most people have Netflix. I would go check out Netflix. There's a really cool Rush documentary on there. It certainly talks about, the music, but it really does kind of focus a lot on their personal lives throughout the years, the decisions that they made even from a young age, and then getting Neil, later on, and then some of the horrible family tragedies that he went through, and just kind of how he kind of came out of that. And it's interesting, if you watch, you can find out that, during that period, it was like almost 5 years, I think, that they didn't think they were going to get back together. They didn't think he'd ever want to do it because of kind of where his mental state was. He was kind of like traveling the country on a motorcycle just to kind of just be out there. But obviously, he found a new wife, put himself together again, and, obviously rejoined with Rush to have another great, decade or so with them. And I never actually saw Rush. I like them. It's just the opportunities I had. I've just never been a super big mega fan. I like the technicality, and some of the songs like, Working Man and YYZ and stuff like that. I mean, they're classics. I mean, if you like rock, you like those songs, but just not one of my top bands that I would actually, pay to go see. But, you cannot deny the talent that they had, and especially Neil had. So, another rock icon lost. So, and moving on, there are some new albums and new singles from a couple artists. Most notably, the one that I've most recently listened to was Sons of Apollo. That's got Mike Portnoy on drums and Billy Sheehan on bass. So, I mean, it's a super group. The other guys are great as well. And very cool, progressive, almost Dream Theater-ish. I mean, it's kind of hard not to when you got Portnoy behind the drums, but he doesn't have to play that way. It's just the songs kind of lend themselves to a more progressive metal kind of feel. So, Sons of Apollo, check that out. I believe the album is called 2020, all in Roman numerals, so I believe. But just type 2020 and you'll find it. Avenged Sevenfold also put out a new single. I can't remember the name of it right now, but type new single 2020 anywhere on YouTube or Spotify or something, and it'll come up for Avenged. It's a very they're kind of got their trademark dual guitars to kind of start the song and end the song. It's really a ballad. It's kind of like a metal power ballad, but I guess if anybody can do it, Avenged can. They got the talent, and so that's a very nice song to listen to your eardrums. And some other news, funny news. I'm definitely a Machine Head fan, and I've told you before, the craziest show that I've ever been to is a Machine Head show, but that's because the venue was too small. But anyway, they were in Phoenix, Arizona on January 16th, and during the Circle Pit, somebody proposed to their girlfriend. And yes, she did say yes, but there's video of that online. I guess you would type Circle Pit proposal or something like that, but very, very wild. I mean, it's interesting. It's a new way to do it, that's for sure. But so I saw that. I thought that was definitely newsworthy. And I don't know, positive or negative. Let's do one negative, and then we'll go out with the positive. So negative for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame again. Motorhead has been snubbed. They will not be entering, and they had a pretty sizable campaign. I mean, it wasn't crazy, but I know Mickey D and Phil were promoting it on their social media, trying to get people to rally behind it. But unfortunately, the fans only get one vote. So, it doesn't matter how many votes you send in for the van vote. At the end of the day, it just goes to one artist, and it's just one vote out of, I don't know, I think it's like 200 or 300. So it doesn't mean very much, even if they got the fan vote. Maybe they did. I don't know. But there's always next year. And, I guess now that Lemmy's gone, at any point it's, going to be a post-death kind of a situation anyway. But, one day I'm sure they'll get in, and hopefully by then some of the members will be alive. If not, maybe Metallica or somebody could do some kind of performance, in honor of Motorhead. But another band that is already honored and has their Grammy and coming back strong now that Dave Mustaine has been cleared of his cancer for now. They have been back in rehearsals. There's some video of that online that you can check out. Just regular rehearsals, but he looks good. I guess the album's almost done, so that should be coming out soon. And yeah, I would say, all things considered, if they come back up here, that would be a show I'd go see. I've actually, one time I was so crazy, I went by myself, drove all the way up to Grand Rapids, which for me is I think it was maybe a little bit over a 3-hour drive each way. And then getting lost in this weird parking lot. I couldn't find the venue, and I was by myself. But I did get there. And the reason I went to drive 3 hours to a Grand Rapids show and not go to one of these huge festivals, which I have seen Megadeth at the Mayhem Festival before. But when you go to one of these clubs, if you can get a band like Machine Head or Megadeth or something, if they're going to play there, you just buy a general admission ticket and you can just push your way all the way up to the front, or you get there early and stay there. Caveat to some of these things is you can't drink, because if you drink, and especially if you're by yourself, you get out of line and go to the bathroom, good luck trying to get back up there. So unfortunately, drinking is not something you want to do if you want to be front row. It's just a miserable experience, and you don't want to be worried about having to go to the bathroom. I've heard some crazy nuts, like on the Howard Stern show, Richard Christie, he'll actually wear a diaper and piss himself while he's watching a show. That is beyond gross to me. So just drink a little water before you get in there, and have a shot when you're leaving, one for the road, But that was why that was cool. I was front row for that. And that was a great experience, because you're usually so far back that you just can't see them like that. And so I really enjoyed that show. And I'd do it again. I mean, it was a long drive back and forth, and 6-hour drive, but Megadeth is worth it for me. So moving on to video games. Newsworthy that Xbox Series X, it's getting hard to keep track of all these different names. Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, Xbox 360. But that is going to be the next technical generation of Xbox. PlayStation is very straightforward in the fact that they're coming out with the PS5. Very simple. Then there'll be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, until the end of time, or consoles, it seems Sony's just going to be 5, and then they'll do little iterations like Pro, like they have right now. But this strategy is even more complicated than what they've done in the past. When you came out with the Xbox One X, I guess it was kind of the same concept, but it wasn't treated as a new generation. It was just a visual fidelity upgrade so that you could play the games in 4K, and this is a lot along those same steps. So even though they're touting it as the next generation, and it'll be as powerful, right in line with the PS5, and it'll be much stronger than the baseline Xbox One that we have right now, it's not going to have any exclusives. Their marketing strategy is going to kind of be that same idea that every game that comes out on the Xbox Series X, for a limited time, you could still play on an Xbox One, the original model that came out a few years ago that I have. Obviously, the caveat to that is it's going to further the gap between visual fidelity. Now it's going to get to the point where it's almost going to be like playing Switch games, where you're really going to take a hit in frame rates and draw distances and just pixelations on effects and everything. Everything's going to take a hit, but it'll still play, and you can still have fun with it. Like Star Wars Jedi Order. I mean, that could be, if you have an Elite or whatever, or Xbox One X, that's 60 frames, really looks nice, but you play it on a baseline 30 frames, still fun. So I think they're taking that, they're kind of expanding that business model. Will that work? I don't know, because the funny thing about that is, I kind of, when I first heard that there was going to be this new generation, I thought, well, I'm going to get in on the Xbox generation. Last time, because of the horrible blunder that was originally the Xbox One, which was going to have to always be online to check that your, the DRM was going to be insane. And they had a horrible E3. They lost that E3. Public perception went over to PS4, and PS4 has certainly dominated this generation of consoles. Microsoft came back. They got rid of focusing on the Kinect, which nobody wants, and just got back to making video games. And with that being said, in the beginning, me and a couple of people that I know kind of jumped in on the PS4, generation, and kind of held off on the Xbox One. And then eventually everybody, just kind of like the previous generation with the 360, everybody finally got Xbox Ones. And we're still kind of, if you're going to play online, Xbox still kind of at the end of the day was kind of the go-to still for everybody. So with that being said, I would probably want to buy Xbox Series X over a PS5. But now I feel like I can hold off, and I don't know if that's what they want, because it's like, well, if there's going to be a 1 to 2 year window where everything has to work on the Series X all the way down to the baseline Xbox One, I mean, why buy? I mean, wait a little bit. The price will drop a little bit. The chips will get better. Maybe there'll even be a used one out there. Then finally they'll have a game or something that you can only play on that. So I don't know if that's a good strategy. I haven't heard about the PS5's lineup. I don't know if they have any exclusives. I mean, Sony probably does. They're not known to. I don't think they're making it very clear that this is a new generation. So maybe like last generation, maybe they'll get that early jump, just based on some of these business strategies that they're having. I get that you don't want to alienate, like the current people you have, but I think a way around that would certainly be backwards compatibility. But it sounds like there might not be a lot of that. Microsoft. I mean, everybody has a hard time with it. I mean, it's just one of those things. And when you buy a new system, you want to play new games. I don't want to play the old games that I just bought them. It's ridiculous. So I get why companies aren't too keen on backwards compatibility. They're moving forward. But we'll see. We'll see who takes the early lead and the ultimate lead on, I don't even know what generation we're in right now. But so that will be the Xbox One Series X. And then another game which I was hoping, I'm sure a lot of people are hoping to sink their teeth into, is Cyberpunk 2077. That has been delayed, I believe, until April, just for quality. They want to make sure, it's good. There's no super bugs or anything that's going to, ruin a game like Anthem. Last year they had 1 million bugs and not a lot of content. I think this is more for bugs. But I think people are just bummed out because it looks so good and so fun, and you got Keanu Reeves in it, and it's kind of almost like one of those like movie kind of experience games. So we'll just be patient, and that'll come out, and we'll all get to play that in April. And all right, so let's go to wrestling. So in TNA, they have, I don't know, I think it is deserving of the wrestler, especially where her father, his history with the Four Horsemen and everything, in WCW and Ric Flair. I don't think that in the history, as far as I'm aware, there's ever been a woman's heavyweight champion of the world. Which there's been a couple in WWE. There's been a couple intercontinental champions. Chyna was one that I can remember, and I think somebody else won the IC title at one point. But I don't think there's ever been a promotion that's put the heavyweight world title on a woman until now in TNA. And her name is Tessa Blanchard. She's the daughter of Tully Blanchard of the Four Horsemen fame. He was in WWE for a little while, and then I think TNA is just kind of in the tank, so they're trying to maybe spike some ratings. Granted, she is a good wrestler. She brings that family legacy to it. And she probably is the best thing that TNA has. So in that sense, yeah, she should be TNA's champion. I don't know where like the future of that goes. Like because from what I understand, Impact it's very hard to watch. Like I think it's on some streaming service or something like that. It's not on regular cable anymore. So you really got to kind of go search to see it. And I don't even know if they have a women's division or what the future of this is going to be. I mean, she's not going to be able to take on Brock Lesnar, right? I mean, at some point, wrestling is about suspending your disbelief, like kind of like watching like a sci-fi movie. It's fake, but you're supposed to believe the characters you're seeing. It just gets really hard, to do that when, it's just physics, man. It's just she's not going to be able to take on the Big Show, okay? Or Kane or the Undertaker. That's what I'm saying. Like and I think WWE knew that, and that's why they thought the IC title was something that they'd give to women. Like technical wrestlers, good, you could do it, but who knows? But it's cool. I mean, it's certainly setting a milestone, and who knows? Maybe, if she can be like, I mean, look, being small, it shouldn't necessarily, I guess, disqualify you from being world champion. I mean, Rey Mysterio Jr. has been champ briefly at times, but, you just got to be a little catty and cagey, and maybe she could do that, jump around and knock the teeth out of some of these big guys. So who knows? We'll see how that goes. Pretty interesting, I thought, to see a woman's heavyweight champion for the first time in wrestling. So another return, which is actually not wrestling, it's UFC, but I mean, come on, everybody's talking about it, is Connor McCregor returning last night. I believe it was UFC 232. I could be wrong on that. I believe it was 232. And 40-second just crazy knockout on Cowboy. I mean, it's just like such a unorthodox way of beating somebody. He's clinching the guy, and he slams his shoulder right into his nose, breaks his nose, blood spewing out of this guy's nose, and then kind of stance off, hits him with a left kick to the jaw. I mean, it hurt watching it, you know what I mean? And it was almost like one of those old Mike Tyson things where you're like, it's over? It's done? He did it? I mean, because like the last one with Khabib, I mean, it went rounds and rounds, and it ended on submission. I mean, it was a fight. I mean, this thing, his hair wasn't even messed up. It was like he just walked out of the dressing room and walked right back. So, easy money, but man, I mean, but great skill. I mean, he just... I mean, the kicks, the way he can kick that high and just nail you on the side of your face like that, unbelievable. And like he said last night, he is now the first UFC fighter to ever knock somebody out in 3 different weight classes. So we'll see if he's going to fight Khabib again. I hope he does, because Khabib's whoever wins the next fight with Khabib will probably be fighting Connor. So that'll be totally cool. It was great to see him back last night, and just doing what he does and just destroying people. So all right, so I think that's it for the Speak of the Devil podcast, episode 35. We will see you next time.